What's going on, world? It's the KayFabeyBaby NRW Ring Generals podcast. It's your boy Kuya P, and I'm here with the homies to talk all about that wrestling once again. So excited. We've been meaning to do this for the past couple weeks, but I've been busy with trying to give y'all content on the channel. So just go check out the content, subscribe, man. We'd appreciate it. Go check out DC Brawl-esque with my homie over there and Maki. They got some good stuff coming their way. Go check out those shows. Check out my boy WebsterStyle, talking all those things fashion and everything he's doing. I'll have all the links to everything that they're doing in the description below, y'all. So go show love there. But let's get down with it. Let's just kind of do a quick catch up, and then we got some topics to throw at y'all about what we're liking and enjoying with wrestling. So first up, let me show love to WebsterStyle. How are you, sir? What have you been up to since we last spoke?
I'm good, brother. Just trying to record podcasts, trying to do what I do. I'm a bit behind, but we trying.
Trying. Go check out the Checkpoint, one of the shows I produce with WebsterStyle, bringing you all that latest in gaming. There's a lot of gaming news, but go over there. We'll talk all things that I want to talk about this AEW wrestling game at some point, a little hybrid between the gaming and over here with us in wrestling, because they've been talking about this game, saying it's winning all these awards, but we haven't even played it. What the fuck? Anyway. Shawn Mongold, homie, voiceover extraordinaire, over with DC Brawl-esque and the homie Maki. What have you been up to, bro? I know you've got a lot of great shows. You actually just had a show recently, right?
Yeah, we just had our one Geek Classique, sold out, had a great time.
Let's go.
Flew people up from Florida, from Ohio, so we had, talent from all over. But yeah, man, just, trying to stay busy, just work through things. I have a lot of plans coming up. Definitely trying to put my foot back into acting too. So I've been applying to a lot of, hopefully some cool auditions coming up. But yeah, just trying to stay busy.
Awesome. I love it. All right, man. Go show love to my homies over there. But we're now going to talk all things wrestling. Y'all know what I'm about. Y'all can see that I do a lot over here. So if you want to tune in, you can check all that shit. But let's break it down. I'm going to throw it over to my boy WebsterStyle. We're going to take us through some various topics of things we want to touch on in the world of wrestling. Let's go, WebsterStyle.
All right, so let's go over to, the land of the parties were really happening in the U.S. With New Japan, they had their Battle of the Valley pay-per-view event a couple weeks ago, and two big stories came out of that. One, Mercedes Mone, formerly Sasha Banks of WWE, beat Kairi, formerly Kairi Sane of WWE, for the IWGP Women's World Championship. Now, Shawn, you saw the match. What did you think of the match overall?
It was definitely a good match. I mean, they both have been in WWE as well, so they have experience together. And that's really what you look for in the ring, is just having that chemistry. It was a really good match. It was a brutal match. Like it was really, really great. The outfits were immaculate. Everything was really good. I know a lot of people kind of clown Mercedes for her new finisher, kind of when she debuted. It was kind of a botch a little bit, but right. she definitely got it back. It was a really crisp sell. Like I said, we were talking before the show, like the camera angles, probably could have had a better angle of it, but it looks flawless. It looks seamless. It was such a good matchup. It was a lot of intensity. The crowd, I don't know what it is, but watching New Japan, I don't know if there's like an audio issue, but it always seems like the crowd's really quiet. Yeah, like quieter than WWE. So I don't know if there's like something that WWE does that makes the crowd, sound more vocal, like what it is in the actual arena. But like, I was expecting people to go ape shit for Mercedes for her return. Right. And it just, I could see people reacting in the crowd, but I couldn't hear it, And then even through the match, it was kind of hard to hear. Like, looking at their faces, it looked like the crowd was reacting, like at Kairi and Mercedes' face. It looked like they were reacting, but like as a viewer, you can't really tell. Right. So I hope they gave them the just that they need, the cheering that they need, because we know the history with New Japan and women wrestling. Right. So, but obviously this was also in the States, so it was a different crowd. But I know it was the co-main event, possibly could have been the main event. I mean, all love to Okada and Takahashi, but we've seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
We've seen it. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, I thoroughly enjoy it. If you did not watch it, I would definitely go. It was a pretty long match. And they just went for it. You know, they were all over the place, and it was just a really, really, really like just a slobber knocker, if you will. So it was good. I enjoyed it. And you know, Bailey, I think was there too, just like in the crowd watching.
Oh yeah.
You know, Bailey's like that best friend that's always got your back, and I love that dynamic too. I love them to death. But yeah, I mean, definitely check it out. Like the one thing, like I said before, the one thing that was kind of weird is Mercedes' hair kept slipping, and like at the end of the match, like one of the camera dudes is just like up in her shit as she's like adjusting her hair, and I'm just like, A, why are you zooming in on that? And B, why is production in the back being like, yeah, let's keep that up, you know, instead of like switching over to another angle. And like that's another big difference between like WWE production and even AEW. Like AEW, when they first came out, were having like a little bit of, you know, audio issues, pyro issues, you know, things like that. You know, they obviously get better, but you know, New Japan's been doing this for a while. And it just seems to be stuck in that rut.
Yeah.
So I don't know what it is, but I was just like, come on, like that was her moment. Like she just won the belt and she's sitting there like doing this, and you're like zoomed in on her face. Like, come on, dog. Like, what's happening right now? But yeah, that was great. And then there's also like, you know, after the Okada match, you know, fucking Mercedes came out, and it was Mercedes and Okada in the ring holding the belts up. And like she was just like, hey, how about, you know, mixed tag team? Like, you know, let's go. The fucking Rainmaker, the CEO, you know, both IWGP champions. So I thought I literally said that too. I was just like, that'd be a cool team up to see them two go at it. Like the Rainmaker, just all the money floating down, fucking, you know, Mercedes Mone. And then also one of the announcers kept saying Mercedes money. Like I was like, it's Monet, dog, come on, stop it. No one was correcting him. He's like, Mercedes money. I was like, Jesus Christ.
Was Callis doing the announcer?
I can't remember, man. I don't know who it was, but I was just like, dog, I was just like shaking my head half the time, like, can y'all not like stop being a JR right now? JR gets the pass. Right. No one else does.
So this is my question, and I want to get your opinion on this as well. You know, New Japan has tried unsuccessfully, really, over the past couple of years, really to gain a larger foothold in the US. I think really the creation of AEW kind of killed a lot of that, because a lot of their main stars that had household names in the US went to AEW. Do you think Mercedes could be a new pathway to really get into the US audience, because she has such a, at least, well, not so much name recognition, but she's such a well-known figure in US wrestling and pop culture in general?
I definitely think there's a bridge there. I definitely see that there's a roadmap there. You know, and there's a lot of factors at play, right? Like you said, like AEW kind of popped up, took some of the New Japan people, took WWE people, took a lot of people from other, you know, indie circuits and things like that. And they just made like a very well-oiled machine in the past 3 years. Mm-hmm. You know, obviously there's still some things that need to be tweaked, but like, you know, I don't think any product's ever going to be perfect. But, you know, and obviously Forbidden Door is also that pathway. So I'm really, really excited about the possibilities for Forbidden Door when it comes up, especially Mercedes. Yo, this has been the Mercedes and Jade thing that I've been talking about. That is the person to dethrone Jade. That's the only person
right there. That's money.
That is the only person. And then that is a segue for Mercedes to be both on New Japan and AEW, being the, you know, IWGP Women's Champ and the TNT Champ. And that allows her to work with even more wrestlers, you know, and I think that's genuinely what she wants. Like, I genuinely think that Mercedes just loves wrestling. She wants to just fight everyone that she wants to fight. You know what I mean? Like, she's still young. She wants to, you know, get there, just go around the world, travel the world, train with new people, like gain their experience and learn from them. Because, you know, like I said, when she took that long ass break from WWE, she went to Japan, trained, and that like kind of reinvigorated her love for wrestling. And that's honestly why I think she probably went to New Japan after she left WWE, is because they helped her kind of reignite her love for wrestling. Right. So, but bringing it back to all that, I definitely think there is, and obviously, you know, Japan has a different structure and production and pageantry and like how they broadcast stuff. You know what I mean? Like AEW is very much similar to WWE because they're from the States. New Japan's Japan. I definitely feel like a lot of people here love it. I mean, that show right there with when Mercedes was the only match announced, it sold out like instantly, right. Day of. Granted, it wasn't the largest stadium, but there is an audience here that go up for New Japan. You know, when we go to the G1 Supercard, like WrestleMania weekend, you know, we went to the one in 2019 at I think it was at Madison Square Gardens. It was packed and it was such a great time. So there is a crowd, you know, there is interest in it. I don't think it got oversaturated. I really love the Forbidden Door. It's just, I think New Japan just needs a consistent thing for them to come to the States, you know what I mean? And not just like like once a year, twice a year, you know? But I definitely think they can thrive, especially with Mercedes Martinez now.
So I'll chime in. As you can see by the background, I am a Mercedes Mone stan because I was a Sasha Banks stan along with my daughter. It's my daughter's favorite wrestler, Sasha and the Four Horse ladies, if you will, when they had the women's revolutions. What got me back into wrestling after kind of falling out of wrestling. I'm all about women's wrestling right now. And yes, and as I was asking the both of you all earlier in previous weeks, I want to know all things New Japan. I want to get down with this and show love and show support. So yeah, the audience is here, Eldon. I'm ready, and I know there's many out there like it. I unfortunately didn't get a chance to watch it, but I know my boy Shawn's gonna show me how I can watch it a little bit later. We'll talk on that later. But I was checking out the Twitter the whole night of the event because I was filming on that day. Then got home, caught a little bit of Elimination Chamber, but I was on the Twitter like, man, I gotta get an update. I need to see something. So I'm excited to watch it, and I can't wait. I'm ready to know more. And I'm sorry, Eldon, I know you're chiming in.
No, you're good. I just remembered New Japan, they have a show on Access TV. If you get that, so Battle of the Valley is going to start showing, at least at the time of us recording this show, tomorrow, March 2nd.
Sweet.
As part of that there. So that's on a lot of different cable networks, Philo TV, a lot of places have Access TV. So it's maybe something, if you have that, you can check it out there. I'm definitely going to DVR it. Now that I know it's going to be on there.
Same.
Be interesting what they do with the camera angles too, right? If they make any sort of.
Oh, and I also want to add earlier when we were all talking about like how wrestling. I agree with you. New Japan's been around just as long as WWE. They should have their production value up, but you know, WWE is the one with the fatter pockets, so they can pay that. And I will also say this though, because they've been doing it for so long, behind the scenes, WWE is pumping in crowd reaction, crowd chants to get crowds going. They're going above and beyond to make a show feel like a show.
I mean, Raw just had Raw 30.
Unfortunate, so. You know, that, you know, they're faking it. WWE's faking it. And then when you go to other programs like New Japan and AEW, they're trying to be real with y'all. But, you know, WWE's trying to fake it because of the product, whatever. You know, we all know.
Makes TV. Yeah. They're TV and they understand that. Yeah. Everybody else is trying to be a live sport. And that's the biggest difference.
Now, the thing is, like, I can tell you any wrestling event that you go to, it's loud as shit. Right. So it's just like, I mean, we went to an indie wrestling joint here in DC called Browmatica. You know, Trish Adora was there, O'Shea Edwards was there, MV Young, like, you know, so many of these like indie wrestlers, and it was like the last show of DC just because of DC Sports Athletic Commission's just a bunch of horse shit. And they just hate wrestling for some reason. Like, you can't bleed in the ring. Like, you have 15 seconds to leave a ring if you start like having a bloody nose or some shit, you know, and there's so many stupid fees. But we went there and it was, you know, it was at DC Brow, you know, Brow-esque right here. And it was so loud, you know, and there was like 200 people there, maybe. But like, people are invested. Like wrestling fans are invested. Like things are loud. You know what I mean? So like even when we go to like the indie events, like when we get into the New Japan, when it came here last to DC, I forgot what the card was. But it was just loud as shit. But like I don't know what it is. Like maybe the equipment's just not good enough at recording it or what. So there's, like I said, a lot of factors at play. But definitely, WWE is definitely one of those people who like pump some booze in there, to try to get someone's heel turn going, or pump some cheers. They definitely did it during Roman when Roman was a face. They tried to to get us to cheer for Roman. It just didn't work for that like year. Yep. But yeah, no. Other one side note I want to bring up about the Mercedes match is her ring gear. It was to tribute Hana Kimura. And I thought that was a very, very lovely, homage.
Very sweet gesture.
It was a very sweet gesture. And it was a really cute outfit. And she just came out looking like a million bucks, had like a gas mask on, like all bedazzled and shit, like looking like a burlesquer, kind of a little bit. So I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, So I mean, she always does it up with designs. I believe her husband's like a designer and designs like all of her outfits. So that's always cool, but anyway, let's jump to something else at Battle. And I think we want to talk about Jay White, right? I think that was like the biggest Switchblade. The other big story. You want to take it away? You want to? Well, let's give me your thoughts. So how do you feel about the match? Like, did you watch the match or no?
What I've seen in the match, I enjoyed it. Eddie Kingston's one of my favorite wrestlers. Nobody can out talk him, personally speaking. So I'm like that. Yeah. That was a good fit for me. Different styles, but I like how they work together. My biggest question is this a work? Because if you don't know, the stipulation was if Jay lost, he would not leave Japan, leave New Japan Wrestling. Mm-hmm. So a lot of questions are, okay, is he really a free agent? Because, a lot of times with New Japan, people are free agents, but they're not really free agents. Probably more so than any other company, in my opinion. Yeah. So the big questions are, okay, where is he going to go? If he's really a free agent, is he going to WWE? That rumor is, Triple H is really quoting him heavy, as that's the case. AEW, Impact, like, where is he going to go if that's the case? And I would say, look, this is just me. AEW is full of people. Even if you put in Ring of Honor, I feel like Jay will get lost there. He would really. I think only if he wants big money and exposure, I think the only place for him is WWE. He's not going to get that Impact, but of course, if that's not what he wants, I like Impact's product. I like what they're doing. I like the storytelling they're having. I like how they've been building characters over the past 2-3 years. So from a storyline component, like he could fit in there, but I wouldn't want him to go to AEW because I think he would just get lost in the mix. We've seen so many great wrestlers go there and just get lost in the mix, in my opinion.
Yeah. So kind of addressing this because I watched the full fight. I love Eddie Kingston. My man can cut a promo like no one else. My man can cut a promo against a baked potato, and just have you being like, man, fuck that potato. Like
right.
Like literally, like I don't fuck with that potato anymore. I don't want that potato anymore. Like, and I'm a potato eating motherfucker. So, but yeah, no. I love him to death. And I love Jay White. I've watched him for a long time. And I love this King Switch run. The match to me, Eddie's very one-sided with his wrestling. It's a lot of chops, a lot of slaps. And I'm not that kind of guy. You know what I mean? Like it gets boring after a while. There was a couple of he's a great wrestler. He can wrestle, but it's always like the main focus is just getting that loud pop and like having like the beat red chest, like some of these guys just love that shit. Cause man, that shit looks so like you see like the handprints and the welts and shit, the bruising. And I'm just like, God damn, like y'all just get off on this shit. And they do probably. But it kind of that went on very long, and I mean Jay was really good at selling it, throughout that whole match. But I wanted it to be a little bit more higher intensity in the match. But that's me just being picky. But the story was great. The emotion was definitely there. As far as where he's going, if it's a work, I don't know if it's a work. But I definitely do think he's going to AEW. Unfortunately, not unfortunately, I think he's going to do good in the AEW. I think he would get lost in WWE, to be honest. I mean, no one's really gotten a pickup. Like, everyone's been talking about Montez Ford getting this big push, and I hope he does. But they've been talking about it for 2 years, and they've been talking about the Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn push for 3 years, and they're finally giving it to them. And then he loses to Roman, right. And I mean that was a great build up for Sami, and it was a great storyline. I was fully invested. At first I didn't know if it was going to work, and WWE has a way of doing that where they bring something to you and man, this is stupid, this is dumb, I don't think it's going to work, and then the people in the story just make you invested. So I do appreciate that. Sami is just a very good actor, very good performer, very good promo, and if it was anyone else, I don't think it would have gotten over. If anyone else was the honorary Uso, I do not think it would have gotten over by any means.
I would agree to that.
Yeah, I just, so it takes people get opportunities, but it's so far down the stretch. And then if someone else bigger comes back to WWE, you now get pushed down. You know what I mean?
True.
Because like I said, Sami and Kevin waited a long damn time. I remember when there was conversations of their contracts coming up and whether or not they're going to jump over to ROH or AEW or New Japan, and then reading the dirt sheets about how WWE's promised them a big push, and I'm just what the fuck are they going to do? Like I said, really happy with how it turned out. But if it was anyone else, I don't think it would have worked out. And how long would Jay White have to wait for that push? You have Seth still there. I want Seth back in the title picture. I miss Seth in the title picture. I don't think he needs a title. I think he deserves it. But there's still so many heavy hitters in WWE, and a lot of people are still returning. I mean, you still got Edge there, you still got Brock in the mix, you got Bobby, and Bray Wyatt's popping back up. There's so many big names. The only thing that WWE is missing right now.
Something though.
Go ahead.
No, keep going.
Oh, the only thing that they're lacking right now. Yeah, it's fine. I know we're caveating to WWE, but this damn Becky Lynch and Lita situation.
Oh yes,
a loop, man. It came out of left field. It came out of left field, and I'm just this is very much a Vince move. It feels like a Vince move, and I know there's been inklings that Vince has never left creative and that he's always kind of been there. Now there's all these rumors swirling around and everything, but this is definitely a Vince move. And I don't know I don't know where it goes. And that's the confusing part. It's their women's tag team is non-existent. You had Damage Control. That was your one main team, and they had the titles and they were great. And then you kind of pair them up against a couple of random singles competitors every here and now, but there was never a team. And now the only team gets beaten by Lita and Becky Lynch, who's always primarily been a singles competitor. And who do they fight at WrestleMania?
Damage Control. That's it. You don't have any other teams.
Exactly.
And you can't build up any other storylines and such. Well, you could, but it's not credible. They're gonna be credible stories in this amount of time, a short amount of time between now and WrestleMania. Well, we got a month,
right? Literally a month and a half.
Not especially compared to every other card we know. Well, okay. Yes, I know Brock almost, and then Bobby versus Bray came out of left field. However, those characters, with those performers, we can get storylines, at least with Brock. I love almost, he's still green. But I have faith that they could build storylines in a month and a half, especially considering who we're working with. With Becky and the whole tag title scene, because it's tag titles, there hasn't been a big storyline around those, period. And having them randomly win,
yeah,
it was loopy to me, in my opinion.
Let me also just say that the Brock versus Omos fight is also very Vince-like.
Yeah,
it has Vince written
totally
all over it. I want my Giants going. That's good shit, brother. You know, good shit.
But I'm looking forward
shit.
to it, though. I think Brock might be able to get a decent match. Well, I'm not saying Omos sucks. I like Omos. I like him. He's a frag kid, so I really like him. But I'm excited about that because I think that could be a very interesting matchup. And it's one of the things I've liked over the past, since changing regime. There are a lot of different matches, people going to each other you never think of. And before, it was the same old every week out. And I am very happy to see something different as far as that's concerned. But pulling it back to New Japan, one of the things I thought about doing what you were saying with Jay White, he could be a perfect person to build ROH around. Depending on what Tony does with it. If he's really trying to build it out again to be, I don't think it'd ever be like a rival to AEW with Tony owning it. But if he's really trying to build it into something that'll stand on his own, he needs star power. And Jay White would be a good person to have as the figurehead of that company. That could be a good look for him and a good place for him to wind up, depending on the booking.
It definitely can, because they're also trying to make a weekly show, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You definitely need some kind of star power there. Right. And that would, if he's the top guy there, like maybe that's what he wants. It all depends on what he wants. Like if he wants to be the top guy in a promotion, maybe that's the spot, and maybe he's the top guy. You know what I mean? If he wants money, obviously it's WWE, but I mean, some of these people don't do it for the money. They do it for the prestige. They do it for the accolades. They do it for the love of performing. And unfortunately, like when you go to WWE, you have potential possibly just sitting back and catering, doing fuck all. And that messes you up mentally if you're a very proud wrestler,
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's so many possibilities with Jay. I want to I hope he does what it obviously makes him happy, and I hope wherever he goes, he gets used. Because he's still a young talent. Exactly. He's in his prime. He's just on top of it, and I fucking love the dude. He's great performer, great wrestler. It's always fun. Like even like seeing him live is just an experience too. It's a great time. Speaking of New Japan, I mean, like I said, I watched the whole card, and there's a bunch of great matches. You know what I mean? Like, watching what was the West Coast Wrecking Crew versus the Motor City Machine Guns. Like that was a fucking amazing match. That was a tag team match. Like I recommend, like if you guys go back and watch it, like watch that match. It's such a good match. They put on a damn show. Like just a
Motor City Machine Guns. I expect nothing less from them.
Yes,
personally speaking.
Yes, and I the West Coast Wrecking Crew were just like on it. And I mean, even like the Kenta fight, like I know you didn't like. We're going to talk about it, and then, but like even just like the match in general, like in the ring, like it was just good wrestling. And then Kenta being a heel, and like it's just so good, and now they and then Juice ran out. Fucking Juice throws me for a loop every time I see him on the screen. He looks like a gremlin, dog. He talks like one too, and I'm just like, wow, motherfucker, like you do this on purpose. But yeah, no, it was a good card overall. The Okada match, like I said, you've seen it before, but it was still good. It was still good to watch him. Tanahashi is. He's the ace. He's legendary. But he is getting old. He's getting like the Matt Hardy legs. Like he's getting like the little straight legged. But he still delivers, man. He's out there, kicking people's ass. But yeah, it's very. I recommend go back and watch it. I'll send you guys the link. But definitely Mercedes took the match of the night. That was just so good. But speaking of AEW, AEW is one of those things where it's like sometimes I fall off because it's just so much content. You're watching so much wrestling, between WWE, AEW, ROH, Impact, there's New Japan. Like there's so many things, and obviously, like I follow a bunch of other indie people who aren't even on those shows. Who just kind of like go around the East Coast and go to all these shows up and down the coast, and we try to go out to some of those local shows and try to keep up with those storylines too. So it's just a lot of shit going on. But so I always fall out of it, and I know Revolution's coming up. Do we want to run down the Revolution card and talk about what matches excite us?
Right. So let me start, at least as far as this listing, start from the bottom and work our way up to the championship match. So first up, we have Chris Jericho versus Pretty Ricky Starks.
Pretty Ricky.
Absolute. Oh man.
Absolute.
I love this match. Them two just going at it. Like I remember when this started. I watched a couple of episodes when this like first started because it was Ricky and Danny Garcia going back and forth.
Right.
And then it kind of evolved into Ricky and Chris Jericho. And I think it's great. I love what Chris Jericho is doing. Chris Jericho is putting over a lot of young talent.
Right.
And people are learning. Like Chris Jericho has experience. Chris Jericho has wisdom. He's been all over the place and he's been wrestling for decades. So I very much a legend. And Ricky is, I'm sorry, like Ricky is one of the pillars in AEW. Like he's like Rock levels when The Rock came out, like in my opinion. Like he's just such a good promo. He's such a and honestly I think he probably is a better wrestler than The Rock was. The Rock was kind of a big broody guy, kind of like a Brock Lesnar of that time, just doing a couple of the same moves, but like was just charismatic. And Ricky is very charismatic, but Ricky is just that much more agile and that much more creative with his wrestling, in my opinion. So I am very excited about this match. I'm definitely going to be tuning into this because this is going to be great. And like Chris Jericho always performs well. And I'm curious to see how they go with this storyline. I want them to push Ricky to the fucking moon.
I agree.
I really do.
I agree. I have wanted this since I've been a fan of Ricky since he was the NWO TV champion. So I've been watching him since then for a couple of years now. And when he went to AEW, I'm like, oh, a reason. Like I said, I don't like AEW, but there are certain wrestlers you follow no matter where they go. Ricky Starks is one of the wrestlers I will watch the programming no matter where he goes. And I always wanted him, like, he needs to be pushed. And if he doesn't go over, I'll find it really weird because it makes sense storyline wise for him to go over Jericho to really start to get a push, especially in that TNT title scene championship, which we will
we'll get to that. It's on air.
It's TBS, right?
No, that is the
TBS is the ladies championship, right? Yeah. So I am like, he really, honestly, I don't think he's, the way it's constructed now, he's ever going to be in the world championship scene, but definitely he should be a major mid-card player for that TNT championship.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Ricky. I'm a big fan of Ricky. I hope he gets that push and gets that love. He's exciting, man. And Jericho, man, you got to give props. Legendary, man, using his time to now help big up young stars coming up. It's going to be exciting, man.
I agree. All right, next up we have the tag team match, the Guns, the champions, the Guns, the Acclaimed, Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal, and as of right now, I believe it's still to be announced. This is a tag team ladder match that's going to happen. Is it this week?
I don't know, but that sounds fun. I still can't believe they let the Guns beat fucking the Acclaimed.
I can believe, but I'm not mad at it because they've been cutting some funny ass promos.
Yeah,
can't believe.
I like when they go back and forth, and why not
back and forth? But they're a parody. They're the ass boys. You know what I mean? Like I never expected them to win. But I mean, I love it. But it's weird direction, but I understand, and I'm curious to see where they're going with it. But yeah, that ladder match is gonna be dope. I can't believe they got old ass Jeff Jarrett's ass back.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, why did they put Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal together as a tag team? Not saying I love me some Jay Lethal, okay, and I have respect for Jarrett, but they just seem. outside of the TNA history, that just seemed like a really odd pairing to just slap together. Yeah, you're a tag team now, and they were in this run, and now they're in the, going like, you have a whole lot of people there that are tag team that could be in it. Again, not saying it won't be an entertaining match, not saying that neither one of those men will do the damn thing, because they will. But when you have so many people in this company, you really slide in Jared and Jay Lethal. But to their respect, so far half the tag teams in there are their own homegrown stars. So yeah. I'll give them a leeway on that one.
Yeah, I love what they're doing, man. I'm excited for that one. I watched a bunch of other wrestling podcasts, and they were talking about, like, we didn't get much of a build-up. That as a negative, I will say, we are getting something now to figure out, because I've been tuning in to a lot of AEW Rampage. A lot of it comes my DVR. I'll also put that, because like both of y'all were saying, like, a lot of product, a lot of things going on. So thankful for DVRs out there. I can just binge a bunch of Rampages and Dynamites, but I'm happy to see that they are building something. I'm curious what's going on. There's been, I try to put in equal time both WWE and AEW, but AEW was like on a high, and then it felt like when they got rid of Vince, WB's products started picking up. It felt like there was this lull again with AEW, and now there's been kind of like a gap, and now all of a sudden we're getting this build up for the pay-per-view, the next thing, but I need AEW to be consistent. You got great products. You got a bunch of great wrestlers, maybe too much wrestlers, to your point that you were saying earlier, Eldon, like with possibly Jay White coming in, that might be overshadowed. But I think also, like Shawn was saying as well, there's a lot over at WWE. So maybe Impact or a new Ring of Honor build up to build that franchise up would be good. It's crazy times right now, but I love that there's opportunity. As a fan of wrestling, and now getting into the whole New Japan stuff because of my girl Mercedes, I'm wanting to know a lot more about there. And it's I was kind of surprised with that whole Jay White leaving that thing, because I know he was a big star over there with Eddie Kingston. So yeah, I'm curious, like, this whole thing, like, as a novice to this New Japan stuff, fan of AEW, wanting there to be alternatives means for these wrestlers to do their thing. It's an interesting time as a wrestling fan.
No, it really is. And, with AEW, like, that lull that you mentioned, that was definitely after the CM Punk show.
Yeah, and that whole...
There was after the battle.
We need to have a convo about that, too. Like, should he leave?
I don't know.
Stay away now, permanently just go away? What?
I don't think he does. He's definitely coming back. I think, like, he's addicted to wrestling. He might need his breaks here and there. Like, the possibility of this just being a big ass work, there's so many variables at play, and it's so hard to know, because, like, like, people are, like, feeding the dirt sheets people, like, wrong information, like, just to make them think that a rumor is true. So, like, dirt sheets are coming out with this shit, so you think, like, oh yeah, this is what happened, and, like, they know how to work the system now. Like, as the system changes, as social media came out, and everyone's, like, trying to decide, oh, is this a work? Is this not? Is this real life? Is this his real personality? Is this his wrestling personality? People are trying to, like, these wrestlers and these productions are now learning how to get us. You know what I mean? Like, they're knowing how to work us, and it's ever evolving, right? But I do know that their product started taking an upturn. In the past month, like, they've been consistently breaking 1 million viewers, things like that. So things apparently have been getting better. I haven't really been, like I said, I've been missing a couple weeks here and there. And their consistency, like, I don't know how they're how they can get more consistent. You know what I mean? They just need a little bit more time. I think for promos. I think their promos are shot very, very quickly. Whereas WWE has a little bit more time on their hands to kind of have, like, these long-winded promos so they can build up storylines.
Mm-hmm. Shawn, I hadn't thought about that, but I think you're absolutely right, because I've always said something's just off for me about how they build up their stories. Like, there are so many storylines that I'm like, I should be invested in, but I'm not. And I think you hit it's how they do their promos, and the promos usually are what they use to really tell the story, especially when you look at WWE. And again, I hate to keep going back there, but look, when you do things right, you do things right, and they're the ones that do things right most of the time.
Yeah.
So when you have that storytelling aspect of it, and you see how it's done right, and then you see how others do it, it's something just off. It's off, and it's been off as far as AEW and their storytelling for me. In a lot of things they've done over the past couple of years. Enjoy the product, but it's just been something that has been off. Speaking of storylines that have just been off for me, the whole AEW Women's Championship. You got Jamie Hayter versus Ruby Rose versus Saraya. I have not been into. I don't know what they can do. For me, I don't know what they can do to fix their women's picture, because even bringing in Saraya, formerly known as Paige, didn't help it for me as far as, I gotta watch this. Like Thunder Rosa was my girl, and that didn't work all right, and it has never worked for me after that, personally speaking.
Yeah, they dropped the ball big time on Saraya. I think they I don't think they really knew what they wanted to do, but also I they're trying to be a company more so than WWE that is kind of like fan service, right? That's why this is exactly why Jamie Hayter's champion now, is because of the outcry support, that everyone got. Same thing, I'll take it back. WWE does do that. Remember Kofi Mania? Yes. Like Kofi Mania happened because of the crowd reaction. I think it was like Elimination Chamber, and Kofi wasn't supposed to be in the match and got thrown in the match, and he just got like this huge pop, and the crowd just got behind him, and that's when we got Kofi Mania. So I'll take that back. WWE does do that, but AEW I think is also obviously trying to do that. That's, like I said, why Jamie Hayter was there when they brought him Paige. I feel like Paige wasn't well received, and people started booing her, and that's why they put her on this weird ass heel turn. With Tony? With Tony, is it her and Tony that are like now heels?
Yeah,
I think, right?
Yes.
Like I to me that's so random. That is very random. But I don't know where it came from. It was just, it made no sense. Now you're trying to like make like Britt Baker and her squad like these baby faces, because everyone was cheering Jamie. Like, it doesn't sit right with me. Britt is not a fucking babyface, dog. Like, she is heel through and through.
Great heel.
Yes. And she can't, like, I'm sorry, like certain people just don't have that. Same thing with Roman. Roman cannot be a babyface. Like, Roman has to be a heel. Right when he turned heel, it was boom, it was on. John Cena, perfect babyface. Like, they never turned him heel because he was the perfect babyface. But my thing, with that, and I love Jamie Hayter. I think she's an amazing wrestler. I think a lot of these matches are great. Like, they have some really good moments.
Yeah, I agree.
But they don't give a lot of story. For the lacking of storytelling that they have for like overall the whole company, the women's is like,
yes,
they're most neglected, right? Like,
except
you don't,
TBS.
Yeah, the TBS title.
Jade,
well, even with Jade, but like
story.
Even with Jade, like, there's not stories. Like, she's squashing people. She's the Goldberg right now. She's still she's the Brock Lesnar right now, and it's like quick matches and everything. She squashes people, and I think they are making her matches a little bit longer and like showcasing, because she is getting a lot better. But it just, they built her up. They built this machine to now I don't know if they have a full plan. You know what I mean? Whereas like WWE would know, like, okay, this is how we're going to end it. I don't know if AEW has that plan. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe it is Mercedes Moné. I hope it is, because you need to start letting this title go to other people. It's only been Jade. Like, to me, like, I thought Athena would get it, and then maybe they would go back and forth and take the title from each other a couple times, but like, they didn't give it to Athena, and I was just like, wow, that's kind of a letdown. Now she's on Dark, and she's having a great run, but they kind of like put her on Dark, and I don't know if that's what she wanted.
She's the ROH Women's Champion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she is ROH Women's Champion. I forgot about that. Yeah. So it's like, but like, that's just not like advertised. So it's just like, I want them to do better for their women, and hopefully,
I agree.
Like I said, the IWGP women's champion just came out. Like Kyrie was the first ever champion of it, and now it's Mercedes. So they're just now getting invested, and I'm hoping that maybe they can integrate it with AEW's women and just knock it out of the park. You know what I mean? Like build up stories, have great matches, and just put the time into it. And just see where it goes, because they have some amazing talent. They have some really good talent, and I'm sorry, like they show like Anna Jay and Tay all the time, and I'm just like, you guys have so much other talent, like on that roster. So I
love me
I'm
some
hopeful.
Sky Blue.
yeah, like Sky Blue, like, and then when Hikaru Shida comes back, like, or I believe she's back now, but like I love Hikaru Shida. Like I would love another run. You have Nyla Rose, like still there, like waiting. Like you have all this talent, and you're giving it like one match a week. It feels like you're getting one Jamie Hayter match, and then you're getting one Jade match, and then the Jade match lasts for 4 minutes, and it sucks. It sucks. Right. How do you feel about it, Pat? How do you feel about the women's wrestling in AEW?
Very underused. I think they got a lot of great talent. They just don't give them enough time. I don't think they're trusting them enough. I would love to see more with everybody mentioned. I think there's a glut, but there's not enough confidence in their women. I've been tracking with like Saraya coming on board. I've always liked me some Paige, not too hard to look at. And her with Tony, cool combo, but just very interesting. They've since I've been like the mainly one tracking, I guess more so than you guys. They're doing like this, like where the new people, not the one, have been here for a while, but you need us to make y'all better. And because they also had a thing where they had Ruby in the mix, so it was like a bunch of ex WWE people against the homegrown AEW stuff. So I don't know. I'm curious what's going on with that. But actually, as you all were both talking about like women's wrestling, it reminded me, going back to the convo we had earlier with Mercedes. What's up with Naomi, y'all? And we also mentioned this earlier. Naomi and Bailey and Asuka and a bunch of Mercedes' other friends were at the event when she made her debut in Japan. And then a lot of them came over to, I think, Battle in the Valley as well to check them out. But like, Naomi has not made herself aware. Maybe this is a topic for another time, but what's up with our Naomi, y'all? I miss her as well.
I miss her.
Yeah, same. She's definitely a jewel in that roster.
Yeah. I think she's done with wrestling.
You think so? I was kind of like thinking that might be the case.
I see her on Instagram, and she's doing all kinds of entrepreneurial shit. She's on Bar Rescue with Mercedes. She's doing the acting thing too. I mean, Mercedes, the Mandalorian season 3 is coming out. Like, she's doing that promoting, taking the belt over to the red carpet event.
I saw that.
Posing with Rosario Dawson and whatnot.
That was cute.
But like, I think I don't know, man. I don't want her to be done. I want her to come back. I think she was an incredible athlete. And I definitely think she had more years, but maybe she's just, I don't know. Like, some people just lose it. Like, lose that love because people, are shit.
I agree. Well, here's the thing also, though, with Sasha, aka Mercedes, building up New Japan in regards to like women's wrestling. That's like the thing she's been touting, with Kyrie over there. Who would you like to see? And I'm sorry if this is taking off subject. Maybe this is a subject for another time. We'll can this. I would like to, for the people watching this, and for you both, like, the next generation. And like we said, there's a problem right now with the AEW, bridging off this convo that we first started with the AEW women's wrestling, what they're doing over with WWE, and this insanity with what they did that had, like we said, the Vince touches all over it with Lita and Becky. Where do we want to see women's wrestling? I want to have a good convo on that. And maybe we can bring some female wrestling fans to speak on this, because my girl Heather wanted to touch on our wrestling podcast.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's also March too, so
something to talk on.
Yeah, we can definitely do that. So
all right, so we'll table that. But I want to get that
as a whole show right there,
because that deserves it. Because again, like I said earlier, that's what drove me back into wrestling, man. Women are killing it now, and they deserve that respect. But back to, I know Eldon has an outline for what we're covering.
Next up, we have, I can't believe I feel this way about this match, but it's Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. I want this to be done. I'm tired of seeing him. And I love Samoa Joe, but how many times, was it the third or fourth time this match has happened? Something like that.
It's like getting way too repetitive, way too
This is a Vince move.
Yeah. Because I want my meaty men slapping meat.
Right,
exactly. Big meaty men. I'm over it. I don't know what the buildup is. You know, Joe's a great promo. Wardlow, not so much. You know, maybe it might be a move. Maybe they want to drop the belt and give it back to Wardlow so that, you know, Samoa Joe can go back to ROH because they need that star power in ROH for their weekly show, you know, and like that's the only thing that makes sense to me. It's not a story driven thing. It's just like, hey, we want to, you know, we're going to need some help on ROH. So this is very much a tactical move, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Jon Moxley versus Hangman Adam Page.
Didn't we do this one before as well already?
We technically, I believe we did when Page was champion. But it just, you know, I love me some Moxley.
Same.
You know, I love his match. I mean, I like Hangman too. Like they're both amazing wrestlers. And they both bring intensity. You know, they're both in ring. They're both good at selling. They're both good at, like, I think they have good chemistry too. And I hope it's a fucking brawl, man. You know, obviously, you know, Mox is probably gonna get opened up, bleeding everywhere because that's just what Moxley does. He loves that shit. You know, that's like his fucking religion. I'm happy to see it because I'm always entertained by their matches. Hopefully they can have some cool spots, different spots that we haven't seen before.
Right.
You know, like I thoroughly believe Moxley will give that to us. But yeah, I am, you know, I'm getting a little tired of the repetitiveness. But also, I mean, like the thing of like the difference is real quick is WWE, they'll do like matches back to back. Like I remember when Cody first came out and has a match with Seth, they're wrestling like every fucking week, live events, Raw, you know, and then like 2 pay-per-views. And I was like, what is happening? Like, how many times can these guys wrestle? And like there was like a breakdown of like how many times they wrestled at like live events and all the events. I was like, Jesus, like in the span of like 3 months, they wrestled like 24 times. I was like, God, like what is happening? So it's just like, you know, how do you expect guys to go out there and like perform a different match every single time?
Right.
Like that's hard. But like I said, generally, like, you know, I'm not super excited for it, but I am like, you know, I'm going to watch this and I'm going to enjoy it probably because they're going to get wild.
I agree. Last up, we have MJF versus Bryan Danielson in a 60-minute Iron Man match for the AEW World Champion. Now, I have a quick question, and I'm in and out of AEW. Is Danielson still part of the Blackpool Combat Club?
Yeah.
Because every time I see them advertise or I see pictures online, he's never a part of any of that promo. I was like, did I miss something in the storyline after Regal left?
Now that you bring it up, he's kind of like the absentee member. It's mainly
Wheeler,
Claudio, and Yuta and Moxley.
And they never advertise him as such.
Danielson's like really hardly ever there.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah,
I thought genuinely they broke up Blackpool Combat Club after Regal left. Like, I felt like they broke it up, and then that's like when Wheeler went and became champion, ROH. What is it? ROH TV champion. Pure wrestling champion. Yeah. Sorry. And you know, I felt like Wheeler kind of separated himself for them a little bit from BCC, and I felt like the only ones really still there were Moxley and Claudio, because Bryan Danielson, when he did his whole thing with Daniel Garcia, you know, and trying to be like, you love wrestling, like you're a wrestler, you're not a sports entertainer, you're a wrestler, you know, and I remember that, and that was kind of away from from BCC as well. Right. So I don't know, it was very weird. It's kind of, it's back and forth a little bit, and sometimes WWE does that too, where they think they have a direction and they change their mind. And, now MJF is bringing up Regal again on some of his promos, saying he's an addict, a drug addict and druggie and this and the other. And I don't know. I don't know what the angle is. I'm excited for the match.
Yes.
I love Iron Man matches. They're great. It's going to be fun. MJF, I mean, you just love to hate him.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
a perfect heel.
Yeah, I don't want him to be champion, but like that is his duty, is to not want me to want to see him as champion, and I don't want to see him as champion. Like I want Brian to hold it for a couple, a hot second, because honestly, like what you're saying with Ricky, like there's only so many belts there, right? And I'm sorry, it's just Ricky versus Bryan Danielson in my head makes perfect sense.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Ricky versus Wardlow does not make sense.
No.
Yeah, that's WWE shit if they do.
Yeah, that's WWE shit, man. And I'm just like, I don't know who will dethrone Wardlow if it's not Samoa Joe. Like Wardlow's a big, like that's
Hobbs.
Like Brock Lesnar. Yeah, like Hobbs, but like then you're just like giving like a bunch of like these like big meaty men all this title, and you give it to no one else. Well, no, because they did it before. Like I think Darby Allin beat Samoa Joe or some shit, and I was just like, what? That's a little weird. I'm glad Darby's not in the picture anymore. I'm completely over Darby for the time being. So I'm glad that he's out for a little bit. Give him a break. Sideline him for a bit. But yeah, like, I'm gonna watch this card. I'm gonna thoroughly enjoy this card. Like I want them to draw me back in. You know what I mean?
I agree with you there.
Like I need them to work for this. Yeah. Our time is valuable between all these promotions.
I'm still watching Impact. I'm getting back in NWA. There's a lot of wrestling to watch.
Very much so. Very much so. But yeah, I think that, is there anything else coming up? Is there a March pay-per-view before WrestleMania for WWE?
I don't believe so.
No, I think Elimination Chamber was the last pay-per-view before WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a weird lull for them to have.
It is.
Now that I think about it, there's not like a Clash of Champions or some shit.
I think there used to be, but I think remember last year they started phasing out. I think it's like 2 pay-per-views they phased out. I forget which ones.
Yeah, I do remember they're talking about that. I do remember that. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah. That's pretty much the gist of it. I
think they're gonna introduce a new one. I'm sorry. I just remembered on another wrestling podcast I watched. WWE actually copyrighted a couple of different match types or slogans or some shit. Mm-hmm. And one that was weird that was pointed out on that other wrestling podcast I was listening to was called like Junkyard Street Fight or something. And the first thing that popped into my head, I'm like, are we gonna do like a prison thing with Dominic, with Prison Dom? And we're gonna start a new like street fight thing, or if you are, it's gotta have Prison Dom. We gotta have Prison Dom Mysterio. That's all I was saying.
I love that fucking story. I
am right.
It's such a ridiculous fucking story. I am fully into
I'm
Dom.
All about mommy.
I'm loving the teardrop tattoo joint.
Yeah, I noticed that too on the Did you see the chew out with Charlotte and Dominic? I love that first of all, to have the two of them.
I got a real Latin man at home.
Yeah, there you go.
Two descendants of great wrestlers, right? Talking shit with each other, and she was like, "I got a good Latin man," like Eldon said. Man, that was good shit. That was good.
That was.
I loved it.
Good Andrade call. Speaking of which, where the fuck is Andrade? Sorry, that's like completely like sidetracked.
Hey,
yeah. What can we say? That's a whole nother conversation, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, I think that kind of wraps it up.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right, y'all. KayFabeyBaby episode 2, really episode 3 because we did episode 0 where we did an introduction.
We can't count 2, 3 don't matter.
Can't count. We're just having fun, y'all. We hope to bring you more just craziness with our schedules. And we didn't point this out earlier. Shawn has become a ghost. He became John Cena. You can't see him right now, but he's here.
Camera problems.
Thank you for still powering through, Shawn, even though we couldn't see you.
No problem.
But yeah, man, we got to talk women's wrestling. I really would love to have that deeper convo on that. Dream matches. You know, there's a lot going on, but we're trying to give focus. Let us know in the comments what you want to hear us talk about. We need to talk about that AEW game that says is that really. I don't know if y'all feel my energy about that right now, but it was
Fight Forever.
I forgot what show that I saw of AEW. You know, watching it, and they're like, "Oh, we got all these awards, bitch." From who? We ain't giving it to you. We ain't got the game yet.
Yeah, like, Fight Forever. It's more like Wait Forever.
And then even I think with the WWE game too, where they really got to come back because if y'all recall, that last game was whack. So they need to come out with a new, really good one. But anyway, we'll save that for the gaming, but we may sprinkle that in here into this wrestling talk.
All right, cool.
All right, Shawn, we can't see you, but how can they follow you?
Oh man, you can follow me on all socials at SMongoldVO. And then also follow us at Nerdless Festival. That's our shows. When I had my camera up, I was promoting the show. So our next show is March 25th. It's going to be a Drag King show. It's going to be dope as hell. Do all that shit in DC. Try to do a bunch of performance art and keep the performance art going in DC. So let's keep it going.
There you go. And my boy WebsterStyle, how can they check you out, bro?
WebsterStyle, the man, the voice of fragrance. You can find me pretty much everywhere. WebsterStyle, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok is _WebsterStyle. And of course, anything and everything is WebsterStyle can be found at WebsterStyle.com.
There you go. Please show love to my boy Shawn, to WebsterStyle. For me, it's the legend Kuya P on Twitter, TikTok, IG, Hive, and of course here with Eldon, WebsterStyle. Shawn, the Checkpoint Squad, my regular weekly reviewers, all of those cats, Glenn and Heather, Rob Medina. We got it all at the NRW and at Release Wednesday, where nerds rule the world. Looking forward to another KayFabeyBaby with y'all, man. This has been a pleasure as always. Let us know your marks in the comments below.
You come in my face, I'm gonna fight you. Well, you're not gonna bust a nut anytime we're in the ring. I'm gonna get off by cranking your knob just a little beyond the breaking point.
When I get my hands on you, I'm gonna eat your ass like a pot of collard greens, baby.
I'm gonna stretch his ass like it's never been stretched before. You can hide behind that commissioner stuff just so long until I jerk a knot in your ass.
And if you don't think I'm big enough, then you grab a hold of me, and you'll know that I'm growing, my man. Within your hands, I will get as big as I need to be to do the job on you.
All right, just jerk Helmsley off.
There's one part of our bodies that's soft, and it ain't soft all the time. If you catch my meaning, I'm gonna come on you like nobody's ever come on you before. Just you and I getting it on like two men should do.
Oh, no. That's it, right?
Boy, and I'm coming hard.